So today we have a special presentation by our November Share the Plate recipient, which is the Empowerment Program. And Ken Hoagland, our own Ken Hoagland, is part of that. We also have with us Julie Keel. Julie is the Executive Director of Empowerment. She was formerly the director of the Women's Aid Project at Empowerment from 2001 to 2006. And then she worked as a public defender for 12 years and came back to Empowerment initially as the Associate Executive Director and is now the Executive Director. So welcome very much, Julie and Ken, and I will turn it over to you guys.
All right. I think I'm going to start off here, and thank you so much for having me. And we are just so appreciative of the help with being recipients of Pass the Plate. I cannot tell you how needed that is, and we are just so grateful for that. So the Empowerment Program has been around since 1986. Actually is when it was formed as a nonprofit. In 1985, it started as a group of volunteers going into Denver Women's Correctional Facility, actually. And the reason they did that is because they noticed that a lot of women were getting out of jail and prisons and just going right back. And it's just this revolving kind of door situation. So they did something that we still do a lot of, which is sought input from the individuals they're trying to help. What a concept. So they went to the individuals in prison, to the women in the Denver Women's Correctional Facility, and, and literally met them where they were at and asked what kind of services, what kind of help do they need? So it has become a very holistic behavioral health agency. We provide a variety of services, including substance use disorder treatment, mental health treatment. We provide a lot of supportive services like care management type services where we're navigating different services, both employment, getting income, especially for individuals coming out of jails and prisons. Getting income is a big thing. Housing is a huge thing. We have 6 housing properties. Most of them are actually 5 of the 6 are within 2 miles of the Empowerment Program. So our location is key for the individuals that we work with. And really, we are there to meet them where they're at figuratively also. And so we are not there to judge what their journey in life looks like. We are really there to help them, empower them, make healthier, safer choices. And we do that by, going into the jails, going into the prisons. And one of the other programs I wanted to mention in the Denver County Jail, in addition to the trauma services that we provide there, is a program called Project Bedtime Story, where staff goes into the jail to meet with individuals who are incarcerated who are also parents, and brings books in, and they get to pick a book, and then staff records them reading their book to their child, and then the book and the recording is mailed to their child. And it's just been a really, really awesome way to keep parents and their kiddos connected on a level while they're still incarcerated. So yeah, just very, very comprehensive, holistic services to really help with individuals' medical health needs, mental health needs. A lot of the individuals we're working with have very, very complex needs. So a lot of them have been homeless, chronically homeless, involved in the legal system. And a lot of these things just often go together and exacerbate each other. And so instead of trying to just like pick the one issue that we think is driving it, we try to, like I said, holistically kind of work on the whole package. And my history with Empowerment, in the introduction, just to add a bit to that, I've really stayed connected with Empowerment over the years. If you saw the video, I think Liza Johnson, the real charismatic woman in the black and white in the video, I think you saw that one. She is actually a woman that I worked with When I worked at Empowerment from 2001 to 2006, she was a participant that I worked with on my caseload for several years. And she is amazing. I mean, to see, you know, that's really like, that is like the heart of what we're about at Empowerment, is this coming full circle. And, you know, even though you are starting out as a participant, you can, if it's part of your journey, if you wanted to be a part of your journey, you could work here and empower others, just as others have done for you. And so, yeah, she's been working at Empowerment, I think like close to 12, 13 years now, and just an amazing asset to Empowerment. She is, and she really, you know, I mean, she did all the hard work, but she loves to credit Empowerment for it. But she did the amazing hard work too. So, you know, just really feels full circle for me to come, you know, having worked there back in 2001 to 2006 with Carol Lease, was one of the founding members, was one of those volunteers who started going into the prisons in 1985. She was the executive director until a couple of years ago. So she, you know, built this amazing, amazing organization that I was fortunate enough to come back to. So yeah, I would love to answer any questions. I think Ken is gonna describe a very exciting project we have going on. And I'll turn it over to you, Ken.
Okay. One of the things Julie said is being where they're located is a fairly important thing. And this is a map of where their current building is. And you can see it's right near East High School, sits between Josephine and York, right on 16th Avenue. This is a building that the organization acquired back in the 1990s. And it's, I don't know that we have a picture of it. No, we don't have a picture of it. But it is, as a location, fairly important to the organization. And so we've decided that rather than try to go buy another building and rehab it or sell it and see if we can find another location, we've decided it makes the most sense to be able to rebuild on the same site. And so we've hired an architect who I've worked with before. And here's basically what we have decided are the visions for what we want to do, is to create a safe space to make the changes that Julie talked about, that people make in their lives, that Empowerment encourages. I was struck today when during our service area, Eric talked about second, third, and fourth chances, because that is what Empowerment has done for many, many people. I've heard stories from participants who are on their third or fourth try and finally succeed at getting beyond, I guess you could call it their demons, whether it be addiction or whatever. Anyway, so it's a place with positive feeling and energy for health and connection. And they don't have to worry about safety, and they can leave behind, this is really important, to leave behind old peer groups and create new peer groups. And we've been very careful about trying to create something that has what is called a trauma-informed design. So this is essentially the site of the building. That's that will tear down the existing building. And we're limited in our zoning by what we can put up based on the number of parking spaces. And it's interesting, very few of the participants have cars. And so that parking space is only important for the staff. And we probably will have plenty for the staff. But on the first floor, in addition to having an easy place to come in and a waiting area, they're going to try and build along the Josephine side, which is one of the two busy traffic sides, some retail space for hopefully some kind of an art gallery. And Julie has talked a lot about how important art has become to a lot of these participants. Julie, you want to?
It's very exciting. So like even as a public defender, I really became struck after a while by how many of my clients are just amazing artists. And so some individuals I represented are now serving a very long time in prison. And so they have a lot of time to do artwork also. And they have just started sending me, I get a lot of artwork, amazing, amazing artwork. And in exchange, I usually put a little money on their books so they can buy toothpaste, stamps, snacks, what have you, that they charge a lot of money for, like $10 for like a tiny little toothpaste that doesn't even work very well. So it's those little things, but also really a lot of the participants at Empowerment, just amazing artists. Like I'm always floored. So yes, this space is just going to be so cool to not only have a space where they can create art, but then also to display it. They do some really amazing shows. I'm trying to think of who does, and one of the attorneys I know does these art shows with art from the inside. And the stuff that you'll see displayed, and they're so creative with the supplies and stuff that they use because they don't have access to all the typical art supplies, of course. So some of the latest work I've seen is done on pillowcases, and the intricacy and detail. I mean, I seriously stare at it like, I don't know how you could possibly do this. And so I asked them like, how long did they take it? Like, oh, that takes a lot, lots of hours, lots of hours. But yes, so as you can see, I'm very excited about this art space. And someone who has been working at Empowerment, Laura Schneider, for over 20 years, is an amazing artist herself. And so we already have someone in mind to run this gallery space.
Okay, so as we go up, what we're going to do is create a building that has some space down through the middle, so that it's possible to have pretty open garage here. You can see that space right there in the dotted line that does that. Second floor is mostly going to be group rooms in the purple and a clinic. And the importance of a clinic, I think, is really a big, big deal. So Julie, you may
really is
how important
we offer so many services. Sorry to interrupt. We offer so many services at Empowerment that didn't even touch on all of the HIV work we do. We do a ton of work with HIV prevention, education, and medical care management. So making sure that individuals stay connected with needed core medical services. We collaborate very closely with CHIP over at Children's Hospital, which is a great HIV program, as well as Denver Health University, and It Takes a Village. So yeah, it's a really big, we do free HIV testing and Hep C testing. So having, and we've just, with like so many of our services that we provide at Empowerment, we just make the best of what we have. We have nothing that is even remotely close to an actual clinic at Empowerment currently. So the idea of having like a real clinic to do this testing in is very exciting. And I want to comment on the open space design in the middle, like the kind of donut thing. So this is a very, very cool trauma informed element because lighting is very important, and that natural light for individuals who experienced a lot of complex trauma, which like 100% of our participants have, and that idea of just being able to see out, not feeling like closed in. A lot of individuals, especially who've spent long time in jail or prison, really like to be able to see out, not feel boxed in. So yeah, it's a unique design element. And actually the architect told us that as he was designing a couple different iterations of this, one of his friends who has experienced a lot of trauma really keyed him into this one. Like this is huge for individuals who are trying to recover from trauma. So I'm very excited about that element also.
And also, Julie, two things I'm going to point out here, and you can talk a little bit more about. All of the bathrooms in this building you will see are single bathrooms, so that the number of transgender folks who they work with can have a bathroom that they don't need to worry about whether they're going into the men's or the women's. And then on this floor, we have a retreat space. And you may want to talk a little bit about how important having a retreat space is.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that staff does is rather intense, of course, especially the staff services, really intense. And so, and we're very, very big on self-care. I have that my staff are like, oh my gosh, if you talk about self-care one more time, because it's just so huge. You know, if we don't take care of ourselves, it's very, very difficult to provide effective services like this. So having that space where someone, you know, just needs a little time by themselves, needs to recharge, meditate, do a little yoga or something in between sessions, they'll have that space. Because I really, you know, as a public defender, I know the system could only do so much, but certainly we didn't feel real well cared for. And I want to do everything I can with the staff and empowerment so that, like I said, you know, I just firmly believe if you, you know, try to take good care of your staff and encourage them to take good care of themselves, that they will be able to provide much more effective services for the participants. So yeah, lots of little elements of being able to, you know, just escape for a little bit, get away, recharge. Yeah, it's great. And the group rooms, we do a lot of group work. So with COVID right now, a lot of it's virtual, unfortunately, but you know, we will be coming back together someday. And so the group rooms can be made different sizes. The walls in between can be taken out so we can, you know, for the larger groups and events and activities, gives us a lot of flexibility. So that's cool too.
You'll see there's group rooms up here too. And then one of the things we built in related to what Julie was talking about is having access to outdoor light and space. Up on the 3rd floor, we've got a roof deck that has adjacent to it a gathering space. And it's a place for people to, you know, go outside, have when it's nice weather, which is a lot of the year here in Colorado, they can meet out there.
Yes. And we're going to do gardening, and we're going to, there's like community kitchen space. So we will be definitely doing a lot with nutrition. Yeah, a lot of the participants we work with, it's, you know, I sometimes take participants grocery shopping, for example, and really it is eye-opening when you take an adult grocery shopping and they legit really don't know how to do it. So, you know, clearly you're not going to be able to eat healthy. And if you're trying to make healthier decisions, like stopping using drugs, that can be very, very important to health, for your health. I mean, for everyone, really. It's just, and it's something that, you know, when you don't know exactly where you're even going to get your food that day or where you're going to sleep that night, certainly like thinking about what's the healthiest to eat has not been a top priority. So we're going to really try to make that much more of a priority with the participants. And I, you know, I think being part of it and actually, you know, growing the food and then being taught how to cook healthy food that's not super expensive and super complicated, that's going to be a really big part of what we do too.
This right here, this gathering area is where that kitchen is. This is a whole kitchen space right here. And then up here on the 4th floor is where we have outside roof decks where we're planning on do some of that gardening stuff that we talked about. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is this is a lot of office space. This is actually more space than they have. But one of the things, I've been on the board now 5 or 6 years, that the board has talked about from the time I got on the board is beginning to address younger women. And so, Julie, you may want to talk a little bit about how important it is to try to expand the programs to include some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, a lot of times by the time someone turns 18 and has been involved in the legal system and has experienced all the other trauma they have, like there's a lot of layers of trauma to try to work through. So I do think, and I represented children as a public defender for quite a few years. And so I saw that the children in the legal system often just were moved right over to the adult legal system. And so I would love to start working with younger, probably starting at like 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, to, you know, start doing this work and start providing the services before there's another 10, 20, 30 years of, you know, homelessness, institutional trauma, drug use, substance use disorder issue, you know, try to get in there a little earlier. To be more, be more proactive, preventative rather than reactive. So, and in order to do that, we definitely do need more space, because it would be, you really don't want to provide services to, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old individuals right alongside 40, 50-year-old individuals who've, are a different phase with things. So yes, having a floor dedicated to providing services to younger females will be, it's something we're really, really looking forward to.
Yeah. And I just want to talk about a little bit, this little summary of our parking limits us to about 25,000 square feet. So you can see that's the total here. And there are 40 offices in here. I think your current building, you have something like 21, Julie?
That's right. Yeah.
21, 22, something like that. So this is a major expansion for them to get into both some areas as well as have this trauma informed. And I just want to go back again and say, we looked a lot at, and I've looked around at some potential buildings that they could buy, sell this piece of property. It's incredibly well located. It could bring a lot of money. But even if you go buy another building and try to adapt it to a lot of these things that we've talked about, a lot of outdoor lighting coming in, having the kind of bathrooms that they have, having retreat space, having all of this flexible area for meetings like we have down here, all of that stuff, putting in a clinic. You could do that stuff with a lot of money, but you'd still have the guts of an old building. And we decided that that just doesn't make sense. So this is the preliminary look of what this architect has designed. And I'll let Julie, I've got another view of this that I'll let Julie talk about, our art wall right here. But the other thing, this is what it will look like from the corner of 16th and Josephine. So if you're coming north on Josephine, and 16th goes straight to the right on this picture into East High School. And then on the corner from York and 16th is another view of it. And let me see if I can get that. Here's what that view looks like from the side. And you can see there's art on this wall. And so Julie, you may want to talk about what your ideas are related to this art, as well as down on the lower end here, right here, is that retail art studio space.
Yes, so the mural wall, we've actually already started.
So the mural wall, we've actually
Whoops. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so we have been getting some input from participants already on the design, and so it'll very much be designed by the participants as a collaborative approach. So yeah, we're really, really excited about that. We've already got some really good input. Be very colorful. And then yeah, the gallery right down there.
Really exciting.
Yeah, really such a great location for that too. It'll get a lot of, there's a lot of foot traffic that goes by there. So lots of people will be able to appreciate, see the art.
So if you're standing on the 3rd floor on the east side looking west, this is the kind of view you would have. And you can see that is that outdoor space. This is that kitchen that we talked about. And then up above is that space for outdoor growing. And this is a 360 panoramic view from up there on that 4th floor that shows you what it looks like to look toward downtown Denver, as well as to the north, and see the space down on the 3rd floor. So that is the essence of what has been designed for this space. We have done, we are in the process of doing our preliminary planning for the capital campaign. We've had the cost for this priced out by a reputable contractor that I have worked with before. And the total cost, hard cost and soft cost, is $10 million. And so that is the mountain that the empowerment program is looking to climb over the next 3 years to raise the $10 million to engage, to be able to undertake and build this building. So with that, I think that concludes everything we wanted to cover, doesn't it? Unless you have something else you want to add, Julie.
No, I would just add, what you're talking about giving people second, third, fourth, fifth chances. That might even be a small number of chances for our participants. We give participants really lots of chances, as many chances as they're wanting to take, really. So that's really, we're about like providing anything and everything that people need to live healthier, safer lives.
So with that, we'll conclude our part of the presentation and open it up to questions that people may have.